Ooh, the water level is slightly high. Drive carefully. So just nice and steady through here. Don't need to push the accelerator too hard. It should have the torque to get out. And there you go, just like that, no problem. They're cracking whips over there for some reason. I guess I have to hurry up. I can press this button and it folds the entire thing open. So now I have an absolutely massive cavity. G'day guys, how's it going? Today we're here with a very exciting car, and that's because this is the MG U9, MG's first ute in the Australian market. It's a very big car for them. So today we're going to be taking a full look at this thing. I'm going to be doing a full exterior tour, checking out the interior. Now we are here with an early production version of this car, and I have been driving multiple different vehicles today. All the cars I am going to be driving today are the Explore Pro, which is the top variant. So of course, I'm going to show you all of the cool features that you get with this top spec MG U9. And of course, I'll be ending on my final thoughts and seeing how this compares against the very competitive segment, which is the dual cab ute segment. Should you go for something like this, maybe a Ford Ranger or Toyota HiLux, or its sibling, the LDV Terron 9? Let's get into it. All right, guys, and I think MG played a bit of a prank on me earlier because they actually teased at the price of the MG U9 as being what they said, between $55,000 and $65,000 drive away. In fact, they didn't even say drive away. They just said that's the price. Well, I almost got bowled over today when I learned that the actual price of this ute starts at $52,990 for the base Explore spec. Then you can go up a level to the Explore X, which does come in at $55,990 drive away. Then you've got the top of the range, the Explore Pro, which comes with a whole lot of extra off-road features, including a front locking differential, and that costs $60,990. Now, this thing does have some really nifty features, and I will get to that very shortly, including the smart hatch mechanism, which does cost an extra $5,500, which sounds like a lot of money and is frankly a lot of money, but some people might find genuine use in that. But first, let's start with the way that this thing looks. And of course, it is very familiar if you have seen the LDV Terron 9. This is literally the exact same car, just with a different badge. So you see this grille, massive, imposing presence on the road. MG badge proudly displayed up the front there. You've also got your radar down there for your adaptive cruise control, some cameras up the top there for all your safety systems. And this thing does come pretty well equipped for safety systems. You also get your front facing camera because this thing does have a really, really good high definition 360 camera system. One thing I haven't been able to ascertain during my driving here is the bash plate situation. So if we feel down here, that definitely feels like plastic to me. And I asked a few people if it has a steel bash plate, and I'm not entirely sure yet. So I'd be very surprised if it didn't have a steel bash plate, given that this is positioned as an off-road spec, but we'll have to wait and see when the final specs do come out of this car. Continuing with the looks up front, you get these really cool daytime running lights. It's like a sharp T pattern there, which looks quite cool. You get these really bright LED headlights as well. And this paint color, Riverstone Blue, is exclusive to the top spec Explore Pro. And I think it looks really, really cool. But let's check out the side. Alrighty guys, coming to the side now, and you will see these absolutely massive 20-inch wheels here on the top. This is wrapped in highway terrain tires, Continental cross contact, decent rubber. You can also see we have our 360 camera here up on this blacked out mirror cap. Continuing along the side, this is a pretty massive ute. In fact, it has a 3.3 meter wheelbase. So a longer wheelbase than both the Toyota HiLux and the Ford Ranger. In fact, this is more similar in size, frankly, to the Cannon Alpha from GWM. So it is 5.5 meters in length, 1,874 mils in height with the roof rails, 2265 mil wide. It also comes with a 2.5 litre turbo diesel powertrain, which is rated at 7.9 litres per 100 kilometers of fuel economy. You'll see we also have a pretty unique keyless entry system here, which I quite like. If you press this button here, it actually pops open the door handle, which is pretty cool, and you can enter as well. Now, speaking of entering, we also get a side step, but it is plastic, so I'd be careful when off-roading with that, especially when there's rocks around. We do get privacy glass here in the rear, and you'll see this really unique unibody design here. Now, this is the exact same, like I said, as the LDV Terron 9, but in this car, you can actually make use of the fact that it's a unibody design by using the smart hatch mid-gate system that we do have on this car. So I'll get to that really shortly. You will see it, but first let's check out the rear. All right, guys, coming to the rear now, and this is where it gets kind of cool. But first, these taillights, exactly the same as the LDV Terron 9. MG badge here, looks pretty cool. MG U9 spelt out there. So this is technically the MG U9. I guess that's its make and model name. You'll see on this vehicle, we do have the fittings and the trailer brake controller for towing. Now this vehicle, I will do a towing test a bit later on in the video, but we can tow up to 3.5 tons with this vehicle. Now, it does actually have multi-link rear suspension, which typically isn't the best suspension setup for towing or heavy payloads. So you do get a slightly compromised payload of 770 kilos on this top spec. The base model does come with 870 kilos payload, but the fact that you can tow 3.5 tons with this car is impressive nonetheless. But let's check out the tailgate, because this is where this thing gets really cool. So if I press this left button here, this entire thing folds down. It is soft opening, which is cool. And it's also hydraulically assisted, so you can just use a single arm just to open and close it. Now, if I press the right button here, we can fold down this step. Now, it's not a step yet. I have to fold it down one more time. But what's cool about this system is I can stand here and really easily reach in and access longer items in the tub. Now, if I want to step in, I simply open that, and then I can easily step up and get into the car just like that. Really, really simple, very cool system. But that's not all. But wait, there's more. Follow me around to the side, and this is the smart hatch system. So if I open up the back door by pressing the button there, one thing that's really cool is I can actually open this window here. So I don't actually need to fold this entire center section. I can just open up the window like so, and I can already fit longer items just in there. But if I really need to expand luggage capacity, so what I can do is lift up the bottom seat like this, and then pull this front seat all the way forward, and I can press this button and it folds the entire thing open. So now I have an absolutely massive cavity where I can store longer items. And in fact, I've been told that it is legal to drive with this open. So you got to take MG's word for it. This is legal, but it's very cool. I've never seen anything like it. And I guess it's the advantage of having this unibody design. So in terms of tub dimensions, it is 1600 mil wide and 1231 mil between the arches. And the length is also 1600 mil. So decently large tub. Let's talk about the interior now. And it's pretty much exactly the same as the Terron 9. One of the things I actually really like about this is this aviation-inspired shifter. Someone's ripping off GWM a bit. I don't mean that, but it is very cool. So down for drive, up for reverse. You can really get a proper hold of it there for park. So very, very cool shifter there. We also have our off-road mode selector. So this does have multi-terrain select here. And interestingly, all of the four-wheel drive modes are only available through the drive mode. So this is kind of like an automatic four-wheel drive selector. When you are in eco mode driving on the road, it'll just be sending power to the rear wheels. But if you are in normal mode, or maybe snow or mud or sand, off-road, it will be sending power to all four wheels. But when you do select 4 low, it does kind of gray out some of the drive modes. So only some of them are available for off-road driving. Like I said, on this top spec, we do also have a front and rear locking diff. They are electronically locking diffs. And so I can just press this button here and select either just the rear lock, no lock, or both front and rear locks. And we'll test both of them out later on today. We also have a cool off-road trail cam there. And if I do put this thing into reverse, you'll see we actually have a very decent 360 camera there. It's very, very clear. In fact, I can see all of the grass, and yeah, it's just very high definition. As for the rest of the screen, we do, of course, have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and a bunch of different climate controls, including your heated seat controls. There is seat heating for the front and rear outboard seats. Unfortunately, only the front driver's seat gets ventilation on this top spec, and also massage function for the driver only, which is definitely cool to see at this price point. In terms of the rest of the technology, you do get a pretty large driver's display in front of you. It's really bright and color accurate and has a few different view modes and enough information to kind of get by without being over the top. The steering wheel is a pretty nice vegan leather unit. Feels pretty comfortable to hold, and you do get paddle shifters for your 8-speed automatic transmission. In terms of the rest of the materials inside the cabin, this is all soft up here, and even here all along is quite soft, which is impressive to see. Even along here, it's all soft materials. Whenever I point out the soft touch materials in a ute, it's more about noise than actually luxuriousness. Interestingly, we get this kind of nice suede headliner, which is cool to see. In terms of other amenities in here and connectivity, we do get a USB-C port up here, a USB-A port, which can be used for phone mirroring, as well as a 12-volt socket, walkie, and a fast wireless charger there as well. We do get a nice storage section there, which is perfect size for your phone. You get a couple of cup holders, which can also be hidden away with a nice little storage tray there, which does have a textured rubberized surface on it, which is good to see. This center armrest is an interesting design. You get kind of like a plastic cutout in the middle there and some nice soft vegan leather on the sides. We can also open this up, and you do get a pretty remarkably large storage area in the center there. And funnily enough, you also get your window breaker and your seatbelt cutter. So that's good to know if you are getting into one of these cars. You've got one handy. And I like how it kind of slots away and you wouldn't even notice it. Very cool. One thing that the top spec also gets, which is very nice, is this massive panoramic sunroof. And it actually extends all the way back to the second row, which is definitely rare to see in this segment. It also opens quite wide too. So yeah, practically a convertible experience in this car. Very, very cool to see. The seats themselves are also quite comfortable. They are definitely lacking some bolstering, but it's not a performance car after all. They feel quite nice and they are a vegan leather. However, I haven't been in the base model, so I'm not sure how the situation there is for the seating, but at least on the top spec, they feel quite comfortable. In terms of other storage, we can open up this glove box here. It is soft opening, but the space is a little bit limited in terms of the verticality, but the horizontal space is fantastic. This is quite a large ute in terms of width, and we also get a decently big door bin as well with a nice set of JBL speakers, which actually sound pretty decent. We also have a bunch more quick climate controls down below the screen, which is good to see, and I really like it when they include physical controls as well as screen controls, so we can control the temperature here, fan speed, all that kind of stuff, which is awesome. A weird ergonomic thing is you have two different buttons for drive modes. You got one here, so if I press it, it changes the drive mode, and I've also got one here. So it's just strange that there's two different buttons for drive modes, but it is what it is. And also to get out, a lot of people are very confused when they first get into this car. You have to press this button here and the door will just pop open, then you can get out very easily. One other thing that I don't like, unfortunately, is this driver attention monitoring system. Go away, you're not wanted here. Anyway, they were telling us that they did design this car to get a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, and unfortunately that is one of the requirements of ANCAP, so you can't be too mad about it. Let's check out the back seats. Alrighty guys, back seat time, and that was also a decent thonk. So, spaciousness in here is actually quite impressive. I've got decent amount of legroom, decent amount of toe room, unless I go too far forward, but that's pretty normal. Unfortunately, my thighs are at a bit of an angle. They're not as well supported, but I guess that is one of the downsides of having a body on frame vehicle, is that your legs are at a greater angle, but definitely still comfortable and no issue at all. The seats back here, the same vegan leather, they feel nice, and you actually do get heated outboard seats here. If I fold this down, we get a nice soft center armrest with a couple of cup holders as well. We also get air vents back here, which is good to see, as well as a USB-C port, USB-A port, and a nice little storage section down there. In fact, not that little, pretty big. We also get nice matte pockets, which feel nice and soft, and decent sized door bins as well. So no issues at all in the rear. The soft touch material continues to the back here. There's no scratchy, so they haven't like cheaped out there, which is good to see. And this is all nice and soft. So yeah, no issues whatsoever. Just like I've got no issues whatsoever with CarSauce Buy. If you guys are in the market for any new car, you have to check out CarSauce Buy. That's because we have thousands of dealers across the nation who make them fight to get you the best price on your next car. Our dedicated team of car buyers have been doing this for years, so don't go through the hassle of haggling at a dealership. Let our team take care of it for you. And the best part is that it's completely transparent and obligation free. So scan the QR code on screen now or Google CarSauce Buy, pop in your details and our team will call you straight away. All right guys, it's time to do a little bit of off-roading in the MG U9. Let's do it. Alrighty guys, now we're driving the MG U9 off-road. So let's talk about some of its off-road specs, if you will. So this thing does have a pretty decent approach angle of 29 degrees, a departure angle of 25 degrees. In terms of the four-wheel drive kit, you actually get a Borg Warner four-wheel drive case, so pretty reputable brand there. And they've also got what's called the M-Lock center locking diff. So you actually get 3 lockers in this car: a front electronic diff lock, the center M-Lock, and the rear electronic diff lock. But I have got this off-road expert view here, which is pretty cool. It shows me like a transparent view underneath the car, so I can kind of have a bit of a trail camera going on. I can also see my front and rear departure angles, as well as change drive modes. This thing has a few different drive modes, including snow, mud, sand, and a towing mode, which is pretty cool. We can also control things like our hill descent control, crawl control, which is basically an off-road cruise control, as well as wade sensing. So this thing does come with a 550 mil wade depth, which is definitely not like anywhere close to class leading, to be honest. Ford Ranger has 800 mil wade depth. And interestingly, MG were telling us that they've put a lot of work into the anti-corrosion of this car. So apparently they've gone above and beyond what is the usual standard for testing with salt water and different kinds of corrosion. So essentially, they're trying to make this last as long as possible. Now, in terms of suspension, you actually get a front double wishbone suspension and a rear multi-link independent Now, that does actually make it quite comfortable. We obviously have driven the LDV Terron 9. Oh, I'm getting beeps because apparently it's detected a speed limit here, which doesn't exist. That's annoying. No. Oh my goodness. That's really annoying. Anyway, that aside, yeah, it is quite comfortable in here, and I feel like visibility over the bonnet is quite good. I feel like I'm easily able to place myself on the trail with this trail camera view. It's not bad, but let's get into some more serious off-roading and see what this thing is truly capable of. Rightio guys, now we're gonna head to a water crossing. So this is gonna involve a bit more utilization of some of these four-wheel drive modes. So if I switch back here into off-road expert, now this four-wheel drive system is a little different to what you might be used to if you're coming from a different ute, for example, where you can actually manually select 2 high or 4 high. This is all done through the drive mode. So for example, if I switch this thing here into normal mode, that is actually an automatic 4-wheel drive mode. And in a moment, I'll switch it into 4 low mode. And what it will do is it'll actually lock out some of the drive modes. And that just means that only some of the drive modes are able to access the low range 4-wheel drive mode. And we are going to be using that for this water crossing, as well as some of the diff locks. But as far as I can see here, at least in these pre-production vehicles, there's no way to manually enable 4-wheel drive. It's all just based on the drive mode that you're selecting. Unlike the other car that I was just in, this car is riding on all-terrain wheels, and they have dropped the tire pressures slightly. Not that we probably needed it for this kind of event, but anyway. All right, here might be a good opportunity to switch it into 4-wheel drive mode. So I'm going to half press forward into neutral, and then I'm going to enable 4 low. Here we go. I'm still in normal mode, and now it's switched over to all-terrain mode, which is rock. And here I'm going to enable the front and rear lockers. So I just press it there, and we should be good to go. It's popped up there. I'll switch it back into drive, and off we go. Nice. Didn't even need to do anything. I think that could have done it in 2-wheel drive mode. But anyway, I thought I would just test it out there. Alrighty guys, and we are approaching the water crossing here. Maybe I'll test out deep mud. Oh no, here we go. There is a wade mode. That's interesting. And it automatically enables the wade sensing. So here we're gonna see just how far we get, or how close we get to the 550 mil max depth. This does look pretty shallow though, so I think we should be fine. But let's take this nice and easy, go in between these markers here, and I'll be interested to see how deep we go. Oh, we can see it's rising a bit. Oh, the water level is slightly high. Drive carefully. So just nice and steady through here. Don't need to push the accelerator too hard. It should have the torque to get out. And there you go. Just like that, no problem. And obviously our tires are nice and muddy now, and no issues with grip with the front and rear diff locked. We're not gonna have any issues getting up this slight incline. So yeah, nicely done. I like the inclusion of that wade sensor. I think it's probably quite important if you're only dealing with a 550 mil wade depth, because as you can see, it really doesn't get far above kind of the center line of those wheels. And of course, all of these vehicles that we are driving today are pre-production examples. However, from what I can tell, they are basically identical to the cars that customers will be receiving. So they still haven't shared full specifications with us at this time, at the launch. However, what we do know is that this car will come with 160 kilowatts of power, 520 Newton meters of torque. It does have an 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox, which is a decent transmission. Haven't had any issues with it today. But we won't be driving it on road today, unfortunately. But now it's time to test out this thing's towing. Let's do it. Rightio guys, now we are going to tow in the MG U9. Now we do have a 3.5 ton towing capacity, which is good. It is kind of the benchmark for the segment and what people really demand of a dual cab ute here in 2025. Now, we are pulling a caravan that does weigh about 2,600 kilograms, so we still have plenty to play with. So what I'll do real quick is I will enable tow mode. Now I am going to go into the 360 camera, and we actually have a couple of interesting views that can help with towing. For example, I can make sure my caravan is still connected. Now this thing does come with a 770 kilo payload for this top spec. Now it is riding on multi-link rear suspension. There's no leaf spring or a live axle here. So you do kind of take a bit of a hit in the payload department. And what that does mean is if you are towing 3.5 tons, for example, you've got 350 kilos on the down ball, then you are only left with about 420 kilos to play with. If you've got, say, 4 or 5 people in here, you might be encroaching on that payload limit. So just keep that in mind when towing with your MG U9. But the fact that it is rated for 3.5 tons, despite having multi-link rear suspension for that comfortable kind of SUV ride quality, to me is quite impressive. Yeah, so definitely does the job pretty well in the towing department. So now it's time to get into my final thoughts. Alrighty guys, final thoughts now on the MG U9. And while I haven't driven this thing on the road, so I can't give conclusive thoughts on the way that this thing drives, I was pretty impressed with its off-road kit for the money, of course. This top spec at $60,990, even the base model for $52,990, undercutting the LDV Terron 9 Origin. Pretty wild that this thing does come as well equipped as it does. Of course, the smart hatch midgate does add $5,500 to the cost of this top spec, so $66,490 drive away, but it is a very unique ute, and I think that some people might find value in that closable hatch. But of course, let me know what you guys think of the MG U9 down in the comments below. Are you excited to test drive this ute and check out how useful the smart hatch is? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you guys are in the market for this car, or any new car for that matter, make sure you go to CarSauce by. They're cracking whips over there for some reason. I guess I have to hurry up. And that's because we have thousands of dealerships around Australia and a dedicated team of car buyers to make sure you get the best price on your next car. All right, that's it from me today, guys. Ciao for now.